Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and my sound keeps resetting on this computer. So the last few weeks, it's like I'll do a video and then I'll look down and it'll be like, oh man, the sound reset, and so it does the low volume thing. But I made sure that I checked it before I started this video. I got a lot of stuff. Now yesterday, since I went fishing, I was a little behind. So I'm going to show you a few things that I meant to show you yesterday, and then some new things. Okay, first thing's this. James Phelan had put out that Brad Garlinghouse motion to obtain international discovery had been granted, and that was from Binance, if you remember. The second thing, got a series of clips here where our buddy Gary Gensler from the SEC, who, as in his own words, said that he thinks just like Jay Clayton. Here's the first clip.
We have literally 30 seconds, but very quickly, China stocks, you've come down with some new rules about disclosures. How concerned are you about?
I didn't even want to play you that clip. This is the next one. Here we go.
A whole new generation of investors going on TikTok, going on Reddit, going on all sorts of other places, promoting either a cryptocurrency or promoting a stock. Where does the SEC see their role in that conversation?
I think it's the same it's been for decades. It's trying to foster good debate and dialogue, just like on this program here, about...
Actually, there is no debate. They just trot out, they put out what the narrative that they want to put out. In fact, I made Andrew Ross Sorkin, he actually asked us all for questions, his audience, and I provided him with the Ethereum question, which is the elephant in the room, so that he could ask Gary about that. But he won't ask him about that because they're all in the same club. He's not a journalist. He's a guy who is handed the narrative and said, okay, boss, I'll run with it.
And the retail engagement is positive, but also to guard against fraud and manipulation. And whether that's from big actors, big hedge funds in the markets, or not. And also to promote transparency. We are taking a real close look at market structure. And I recently started, engaging on Twitter, and to some of those Twitter followers that are writing about dark pools. We are looking very closely.
Well, I'm writing about the Ethereum ICO that you're ignoring.
At this market structure, that so many of our orders, retail public orders, are not going to the lit markets, but are going to internalizers, going to wholesalers who are taking the retail public's trades rather than sending them to the stock exchanges.
Hey. Okay. So, and then there was this clip I wanted you to see too.
I'm watching Bitcoin, and I'm not tying it to anything that you're saying, but I got to tell you that having a regulator or a government official just that knows what he's talking about in a calm manner, I think it's helping allay some fears that you turn on the light when you look into an abyss. But my question is, you're a professor, you know how to teach people. Did you ever think of maybe, I don't know, just sending out an email to some of your colleagues in D.C., whether it be at the Fed or in Congress or wherever, and just saying, hey, I'm going to give a little seminar on what crypto actually is. Have you thought about doing that? Because I see things from people in a position to do things that show almost a zero lack of understanding of what we're dealing with here. Well, why don't you offer to do that, to educate some of...
He doesn't have to. The people that have the real power are the ones that created all of this.
Your associates down in D.C.
Well, you're kind. I learn every day from talking to my colleagues.
You learn what they don't know.
Let me just say, I've had wonderful one-on-one discussions with both senators and members of the House, sometimes in group sessions. I don't want to share, but I compliment
senators
those
and Treasury secretaries
for discussion on crypto.
Fed chairs, Treasury secretaries, senators, all everywhere then.
Secretary Yellen convened a terrific meeting where we talked about stable value coins, and my colleagues, Chair Powell was in the room, and Yellen and McWilliams, and Chair Benham. I mean, we were there, the President's Working Group. We had a really engaged discussion that she chaired.
They have way too meetings, in fact. Their whole life is meetings. All right.
For now, exclusively talk about some new ideas about crypto regulation, the rise of retail investors, SPACs, meme stocks, and so much more. SEC Chair Gary Gensler. Mr. Chairman, thank you for joining us this morning. Great to see you. You just gave a speech all about cryptocurrency and your intention to protect investors. And I want to drill down directly into what
I'm not protected. Do you feel protected?
Means, because I think that there's a lot of people, both in the investor community and the policy world, that want to understand the details of that. You said in that speech that this asset class is rife with fraud, scams, and abuse. And I want to understand exactly what you would like to do.
So, Andrew, it's been good to be with you. Look, we're an investor protection agency, and right now,
the way I see it, he's an Ethereum ICO. He protects Ethereum ICO investors. Those are the only people I see that are really protected.
This asset.
And I'd love to know who they are, wouldn't you? I've told you several times about all the Goldman Sachs people that were all up in that Ethereum thing. Wouldn't you love to see the list? And I actually found a company, I'll show you the video in a minute, where it kind of points to who's, when Ethereum had their crowd sale, these guys were in charge of the storage of the Bitcoin they received. So there's a complete record of who bought it. If these guys wanted to look into that ICO, they have no problem with going back in history on Ripple.
That's Bitcoin and the hundreds of other coins that investors are trading in is a speculative asset class. And if people want to take risk, that's all right. But what we want to do is provide them some of the basic protections against fraud and manipulation. The trading platforms they're on are not currently under a regulatory regime that protects them like they're trading on the New York Stock Exchange. It just isn't. And I think those are gaps, and I think that's not good for investors, and I don't think it's good for the technology.
Okay. Now, one aside before I play this next clip. Just something that I don't think I need to say it, but I'm in full support of an SEC chairman, putting and all of these governmental bodies doing what they do and regulating cryptocurrency the same way they regulate the stock market or anything else. I'm fine with that. What I'm not fine with, and the problem here that's not going to go away, is that they are picking winners and losers. They're regulating one, and then they've got ties that smell to high heaven, and I've named a lot of the companies, but they're picking winners and losers, and then these guys who have a history with a lot of these companies are being put in these places, and then they're acting like, oh, the elephant's not in the room. We do have clarity, and everybody out here is saying, wait a minute, no, you're giving clarity to one, but you're not treating it the same that you do the other. There is no level playing field. That's the problem, and Gary Gensler is as guilty of this, we know as of this week, as Jay Clayton is. They are the same. He's Jay Clayton 2.0 as far as I'm concerned, until he addresses the elephant in the room. He didn't want to talk about it the other day. He says he protects investors, but he's only protecting Ethereum crowd sale ICO pre-sale investors right now, because he won't even talk about it. So who is he protecting? Who bought in that ICO is my question. And I think that there's a lot of places that we can point to that show you who was involved and who knows. I know Joseph Lubin probably knows. He said when he was in that interview with Brad Garlinghouse, they were on stage together, and he said, yeah, we're not, Brad Garlinghouse is saying, we're transparent. Why don't you show what you've got going on? Oh, well, no, we don't really do that. We're a private company. And Brad Garlinghouse says, well, we're a private company too. Okay, here we go.
The balance between regulation on one end and innovation on the other, where do you think you lie? because I think that there's a large question in this country about where the United States is going to stand long term when it comes to crypto and crypto innovation. You spent 3 years teaching classes about crypto, so you're an expert in this topic.
I'm very pro-innovation. I think it helps the economy grow. I think more people get access to finance and access to good medicine, access to good jobs. I think I wouldn't have gone to MIT. I've been a professor there for 3 years at the intersection of finance and technology amongst some of the world's remarkable experts at MIT. So I count myself as pro-innovation, but I think that we also need rules of the road. Automobile came along 100 plus years ago.
We need consistent rules of the road, Gary.
We didn't have rules of the road. Detroit wouldn't have been able to sell those automobiles. Those good factory jobs wouldn't have been created. Those good union jobs wouldn't have been created.
Right.
Without rules of the road, the people had confidence and trust in the automobiles. Similarly, we need trust in markets and trust in...
You cannot have trust when you have the Ethereum free pass elephant sitting in the middle of the room. Nobody is going to trust you and what you're doing until that is addressed. And that's the fact, Jack, or the fact, Gary, whatever the case may be.
And this innovation, Satoshi Nakamoto's innovation, if it's going to meet its potential, needs to come within public policy frameworks.
Yeah, all the government lingo's fine. I'm fine with it. That's cool. But until you deal with this and you apply the same standards to the Ethereum ICO. Now, and remember, Ethereum had an ICO. Ripple didn't even have one, by the way. Okay, now, here's my clip. I took the clip. It's my turn. This is the clip, and I want everybody that's listening to my voice to put on your common sense thinking caps when you watch this clip. And I'm not going to say a word. I just want you to listen to the clip. These are their own words. This is Gary Gensler's words and Emmanuel's words. And then it's Vitalik Buterin's words and Charles Hoskinson's words. Remember, Charles Hoskinson was one of the founders of Ethereum. He was there from the beginning.
And how do we know which one is a security, which one isn't? Why did Ethereum and Bitcoin get a free pass? And do you believe that's still appropriate, even though Ethereum, many people believe, was an ICO?
The Howey tested is core, three-part test, but the Howey tested, did you give somebody money in anticipation of profits on their efforts? Now, usually there's a handful of people at the center of these XYZ project or ABC project. I'm not going to use names. There's usually a handful of entrepreneurs and technologists that, in effect, the investor is hoping those people do well. So that means anticipation of profits on the efforts of others. I think it's kind of just like reasonably clear.
Yeah, it's reasonably clear, Gary. So here we go. This is Charles Hoskinson.
The Ethereum team is really one of the most remarkable that I've ever had the privilege of working on. It's a wonderful mix of both old and new. There's some senior software developers, people who work for Goldman Sachs off Wall Street. We have very young entrepreneurs on the team, older entrepreneurs. We have leaders in the Bitcoin community, for example, the executive director of the Bitcoin Alliance of Canada. We have people on media. We have people who are experts in hardware. We even have some philosophers on the team. It's a pretty amazing team, and I'm incredibly excited to be part of it.
Is there a big window of opportunity for people to get in, or is there just like a one-day opportunity?
No, it's something we're thinking of. It might be 45 days, it might be 30, it might be 60 days.
Okay, so there's plenty of time.
Sort of an incremental thing, so the earlier you go in.
The earlier you get in, the better a price you get. So the amounts that the organization is giving to itself. So there's really two slices, right? There's the slice which is sort of like an initial reward slice, where at this point it seems like that's going to be smaller. And then there's also going to be a long-term slice, which will basically provide some long-term capital for development, cryptocurrency research. Yeah, at this point, if you're investing in Ethereum, I would say you're investing in the team and the community to a large extent.
Oh, so you're investing in the common enterprise? And just to quote Gary Gensler himself,
Riley, the duck test. This is a poet, Indiana poet, so those that are from the U.S. might not know the duck test. but basically if it quacks like a duck and walks like a duck, it's a duck. So whenever you're thinking about public policy, folks like myself, who once was a regulator, we think in the duck test. And then we secondarily think about the actual words in the congressional act. You know, where's the common sense? And if it quacks and walks like a duck, it's probably a security. Or it's probably this or that. Right.
He keeps talking about trust and all these things. You won't get trust from the public unless you're consistent in the application of what you're talking about. And there is no consistency. If you sue one and you let one go through that actually committed things that Ripple didn't even commit, then you're not going to get the trust that you're talking about. That's just words. And that's the fact, Jack. Now, if you wanted to do the right thing, Gary, here's a great place to start. Put your team off on this. This company, I just happened to bump into this today. These are the guys that actually held for security purposes, held the Bitcoin that Ethereum got in their crowd sale. They actually held the Bitcoin in their vaults, or however they set it up. Cyphrix, and I think the company's called Cyphrix. Listen to this. If I can start it. Here we go. A lot of restarting going on here.
The largest crowd sale. Ethereum had the largest crowd sale in our industry. They raised over 31,000 Bitcoin. And of course, when you have that much Bitcoin, you need to make sure that you secure it properly. Ethereum chose Bitcoin Salt and Cyphrix to secure their Bitcoin.
I'm Eric Lombroso. I'm the co-CEO and CEO.
Ethereum.
All right. Look, if you look on that slide, the second guy that was coming up, he's the CEO of Cyphrix, and it says he's a contributor of open source software, Bitcoin, Ripple, Ethereum. That's interesting too. So if Gary wanted to do the right thing and go look into the Ethereum ICO and really have a real case, now this Cyphrix would be an interesting company he could talk to. Okay, now also we've got this, and make no mistake, folks, the politics, and I do mean politics, that you're seeing in all of this has everything to do with Ethereum 2.0. In my opinion, Ethereum, they're about to, the team is working together, because you couldn't do Ethereum 2.0 without having a team. It directly contradicts what Gary Gensler just said and what Jay Clayton said and everything else. You got to have a team to do this, to do the upgrade. So it's like, okay, you were centralized. They didn't do anything about the ICO. Then you go to decentralized, apparently. And so therefore there's nothing to do, according to Bill Hinman. And now you're going back to being centralized in order to get this upgrade out. Because if you can become a non-security, if you can be a security then become a non-security, you can also go back to being a security, which is exactly what's going on. So Ether is rallying because of the London upgrade. Tokens of Ethereum competitors, Cardano, etc., are also gaining. Ethereum is about to have a competitor for the first time, several competitors for the first time ever. Now, in the midst of all of this, isn't it crazy that right now we would have a reorg attack on, a 51% attack on BSV? It makes you wonder if the people attacking BSV are not some bad guy terrorist or rogue hackers, but sponsored by someone much more important and bigger. Barry Silbert, Grayscale hires ETF head in push to convert biggest Bitcoin fund. That ETF is coming, but the right powerful people are gonna have to be behind it. Michael at VAL5 Links sent me this. What do you know? JP Morgan launches in-house Bitcoin fund, but Jamie Dimon is not a Bitcoin supporter. He has to do what his clients are interested in. Actually, I'm not a financial advisor now, but I used to be, and his job is not to give his clients what they want. His job is to look at to analyze their risk based on their situation and recommend to them what they should be in. So no, it's actually not not based on what they taught me when I was a financial advisor. You don't just put someone in something because that's what they ask for. You have a more of a duty than that, is the way I remember it. Heoseko Carmona sent me this. Now, I want to lay out what's going on. Remember, here's the politics that's going on. Remember, Elizabeth Warren, remember, she was all over Jay Clayton before he came into office about his conflicts of interest with Goldman Sachs, but now she doesn't want to talk about it. She doesn't want to look into Jay Clayton, doesn't want to look into Gary Gensler has the same ties to Goldman Sachs, doesn't want to look into any of it. But she did demanded that Gary Gensler provide Congress with some land. She demanded that Gary Gensler show them some what he was going to do with regard to cryptocurrencies. What she really did is threw the basketball up so that he could dunk it. Because what they're trying to do is they're trying to put all of the power to regulate crypto in the hands of the SEC. That's what this is really about. I didn't completely believe that till I saw yesterday when Giancarlo and the head of the CFTC came out as if they were saying, look what they're trying to do. So then here you have CFTC is right. Crypto, this is from the House GOP. Crypto is bigger than the SEC. Congress needs to write the rules of the road to protect investors and innovation in digital economy. And then they're retweeting Brian Quint's tweet from yesterday that we covered. And then you got this from Heoseko Carmona. This was on this morning, and Brian Quint's is tweeting this video from CNBC out. He says he's right, and we have. Since I joined the CFTC, we've held 7 advisory meetings for experts to discuss consensus mechanisms, stablecoins, DeFi, blockchain applications, crypto custody solutions, and crypto trading integrity. Meetings viewable here. So this is a congressman. I'll go to about here. I think he says it after this.
A little reading of the Bitcoin Standard. What would you suggest?
Well, I think I was right then and I'm right now. I think they tried to ignore it to make it go away. I think Jamie Dimon will tell you that from the beginning he was wrong. This is moving towards the future. They should not ignore it. They should not only learn more about it, but the basis is going to continue to grow. And this is something that those who regulate, those who are in government that make policy, better start understanding what it means for the future, because other countries are moving forward, especially China. I do not want America to fall behind. I want the next century to be ours. That's why I want to look forward, not backwards, and not keep my head in the sand.
Okay.
All right. So, interesting stuff. Now, I wanted to show you this. This was from yesterday, but I wanted to make sure everybody was aware of it. Link2 is one of my sponsors. I'm also a customer of theirs. I had put this out yesterday that Link2 had just added Ripple. They put this out. Ripple added a series. This is the 70th series of Ripple shares. And then I retweeted it. I said up, and it sold in minutes. And then also you had this yesterday. Robinhood surges as much as 82% a day after surpassing the IPO price. And then it said the stock traded as high as $85. Little reminder, this Robinhood was what their average price on Link2, I guess a year or so ago, was $13.84. That's part of the reason I keep talking about private equity and what a great opportunity that Link2 is. And I have links in my description to the apps and to Link2's website. I see this space as two-pronged. You've got digital assets which we're investing in, and then you have the private equity of some of the blockchain companies that are involved in all of this. Both are what I'm investing in. This is where and then other than that, I'm trying to look at the types of accounts and different things I can do that will help me from a tax angle, like what I do with iTrustCapital with opening IRAs to invest in the digital assets. So I'm thinking about all of these things, and I'm also thinking about some other things, so stay tuned. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family that until there's a level playing field, there will be a recurring theme of problems with with people being unhappy with what these regulators are doing. You can't pick winners and losers and selectively enforce and have any kind of semblance of doing what's really right.